In a remote African village nestled between endless golden plains and ancient, whispering forests, life moved slowly and reverently with the rhythm of nature. The village, steeped in tradition and mystery, was a place where stories of lost kingdoms and ancient spirits were passed down in hushed tones from one generation to the next. Here, under the vast, star-studded sky, the villagers believed that every sound carried a secret, every breeze whispered a legend, and every shadow hid a memory of times long past. Among the villagers lived a young woman named Nyah, whose adventurous spirit set her apart. Known for her deep love of music and the natural world, Nyah had always been drawn to the beauty of sound. While others found solace in the routine of daily life, she found herself captivated by the magic that seemed to reside in every note of a song. Her heart danced with the melodies of the earth, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the murmur of the river, the rhythmic beating of drums during communal gatherings. Yet none of these compared to the mystery that was about to unfold. One cool evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of deep purple and crimson, Nyah sat quietly on the threshold of her small hut. The village was settling into sleep, the familiar sounds of nightly life fading into a gentle silence. It was then, carried by a soft and unassuming breeze, that she first heard it, a strange, beautiful tune that seemed to emerge from nowhere. The melody was ethereal and haunting, its notes delicate yet powerful, stirring something deep within her soul. It was as if the wind itself had composed a song meant only for her ears. Nyah listened intently, her heart racing with a mixture of wonder and inexplicable longing. She looked around, startled by the realization that none of the other villagers had noticed the sound. Night after night, the mysterious melody returned. Each time it filled the air, its call growing more insistent and poignant, tugging at the very core of her being. With every encounter, Nyah felt an undeniable pull toward the unknown, a call to leave behind the familiar and venture into realms where legends and dreams intertwined. The more she listened, the more the melody seemed to reveal hidden truths about the world around her, drawing her ever closer to a destiny that lay just beyond the horizon. As her obsession deepened, Nyah began to understand that this was no ordinary tune. It carried with it the weight of forgotten histories, the echo of voices from a lost kingdom, and the promise of secrets waiting to be discovered. In the quiet of the night, as the melody danced on the wind, Nyah resolved that she must follow its call, regardless of the mystery or danger that might lie ahead. Nyah, ever determined to find the source of the haunting melody, sought the wisdom of the village elders. These were the men and women who had seen more years than anyone could count, the keepers of knowledge passed down through generations. But as she spoke to them, describing the ethereal tune that haunted her nights, their expressions darkened. Their unease was palpable, as if a shadow had fallen over the peaceful village. The eldest among them, a woman named Mawina, motioned for Nyah to come closer. Her eyes, clouded with age, seemed to pierce through the young girl, as if seeing something beyond the present moment. Mawina spoke slowly, her voice low, careful. "The melody you hear is not something to be trifled with, child," she warned. "It is a sound tied to ancient times, a song that has long been forgotten by all but the spirits." Nyah listened intently, her curiosity only growing as the elder's words revealed more. Mawina began to recount a story that had been whispered through the years, though few dared to speak of it openly. It was the story of a once thriving kingdom that existed many generations ago, a kingdom that had risen to power through both strength and wisdom. The people of this kingdom were known for their magnificent art, vibrant culture, and deep connection with the spiritual realm. They had worshipped the gods, offered sacrifices, and revered the land they lived on. But as the legend went, the people grew proud. They began to ignore the gods' warnings, taking their gifts for granted, believing they were invincible. The gods, in their fury, cast judgment upon the kingdom, bringing down a mighty curse. The kingdom vanished overnight. It was said that the land itself swallowed it whole. Forests grew over its ruins, rivers rerouted, and mountains shifted. The people who had once spoken with such power lost their voices. They were silenced by the gods' anger, their spirits wandering aimlessly, their melodies now nothing more than whispers carried by the wind. "The melody you hear," Mawina continued, "is said to be the song of the lost kingdom. The voices of the people still call out, trapped in the ether, unable to find peace. Only those who are sensitive like you, Nyah, can hear it. It is a sign, a warning." Mawina paused, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "Some say the melody calls those who are destined to either restore the lost kingdom or awaken its curse." The other elders, though silent, exchanged glances. Their eyes were full of concern, and Nyah felt the weight of their unspoken fear. They believed in the old stories, in the power of the gods, and in the deep connection between the spirit world and the physical world. They had heard tales of young souls who had been led astray by the voices of spirits, only to disappear forever, lost to time. The villagers often spoke in hushed tones about the dangers of venturing into the unknown, particularly when it came to spirits and the forces of nature beyond human understanding. "You must be cautious, Nyah," warned another elder, Kofi. "The melody is not to be followed. It is a temptation, a lure meant to lead you into the realm of the forgotten. Many have tried to follow the song and were never seen again. We are safe here in the village where the spirits do not come." His voice was firm, the conviction in his words leaving no room for doubt. "The song you hear is an omen. Do not be foolish. Stay away from it, and your life will continue peacefully." Nyah felt a conflict within herself. Her heart longed to follow the music, to understand its origin and to uncover the truth behind it. Yet, the warnings of the elders weighed heavily on her, filling her with both doubt and fear. The thought of what might happen if she ignored their counsel made her uneasy, but the melody called to her like a magnet, drawing her toward an unknown fate. She lay awake at night, listening to the tune as it drifted in with the evening breeze. The more she resisted, the stronger it became, as if the melody was whispering to her directly, urging her to take action. Nyah's mind became torn. She had always been curious, always seeking out new adventures and mysteries. But now her curiosity felt like a burden, an undeniable pull toward something dangerous, something that might alter her life forever. The next morning she shared her conflict with her mother, who, like the elders, had heard the music but dismissed it as a product of an overactive imagination. "There are spirits, yes," her mother said, her voice gentle yet firm. "But there are also warnings. You must listen to the elders. They know what is best. The past is the past for a reason. We cannot change what has been lost." But Nyah's heart didn't listen to her mother's words. It listened to the melody. And no matter how much fear it stirred, she couldn't ignore the pull, the sense that this was a path she had to walk. Torn between the weight of superstition and the force of her own curiosity, Nyah made up her mind. She would follow the melody not because she sought adventure or glory, but because it was calling her, and there was something she had to understand. Something deep inside her soul told her that the Lost Kingdom story was not just a tale, it was part of her own destiny. The next night she set out alone, her footsteps silent on the earth, her heart beating with anticipation and fear. The melody played as if waiting for her, guiding her toward something that would change her life forever. One night, as the moon rose high in the sky, Nyah could no longer ignore the call of the melody. The gentle tune, like a breeze carrying secrets from another world, had been growing more persistent, more enticing with each passing night. She felt it in her bones, a vibration deep inside her that could not be quelled. Her heart raced with both excitement and trepidation, as if this was the moment that would alter the course of her life. Tonight she would follow it. With determination, Nyah slipped out of her house, careful not to wake anyone. The village was silent, its people nestled in their homes, unaware of the strange path she was about to take. She walked into the night, the cool air brushing against her skin, carrying the melody with it. It echoed faintly through the trees, an alluring, haunting sound that seemed to beckon her. The woods surrounding the village, normally calm and familiar, now felt different. As she walked deeper into the wilderness, Nyah noticed that the trees appeared to shift and sway in unnatural patterns. The wind whispered through the leaves, but there was something almost too purposeful about it, as if the forest itself was guiding her along the path. It was as if the world around her was beginning to bend and warp, the boundaries between reality and something otherworldly blurring with each step. The further Nyah went, the more unsettling the forest became. Shadows danced and twisted in ways that defied logic, moving as if alive, watching her with unseen eyes. The air was thick with a strange energy that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. Time seemed to stretch and twist in a way that felt impossible. What had once been a short walk had turned into an endless journey. She glanced back, but the village was already a distant memory, swallowed by the dense forest. As Nyah ventured deeper, she encountered strange omens that sent a chill down her spine. First, she saw a large, silvery owl perched silently on a low branch, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. It stared at her for a long moment before it took flight, vanishing into the mist. Next, she spotted a serpent coiled around a tree, its scales shimmering with an iridescent glow, as if it had been crafted from the very stars themselves. The serpent's gaze met hers briefly, and then it slithered away without a sound. These signs were like whispers from the spirits, telling her she was on the right path, or perhaps warning her of the dangers ahead. The melody continued to guide her, its notes growing louder and clearer as if the source was drawing closer with each step she took. It filled the air, surrounding her with its eerie beauty. There was something almost hypnotic about it, as if it was pulling her forward, deeper into the heart of the forest. Nyah could feel the presence of something ancient, something powerful, just beyond her reach. The landscape began to shift as well. The trees became more twisted, their trunks gnarled and covered with thick vines. The sky above her darkened, shrouded in mist and heavy clouds, casting everything in an ethereal glow. The air felt thick with magic, the weight of centuries pressing down upon her. The very earth beneath her feet seemed to pulse with an energy that was both inviting and foreboding. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of walking through this strange, shifting world, Nyah found herself standing at the edge of a hidden valley. It was a place untouched by time, a forgotten corner of the world. The valley was bathed in a soft, silvery light, and a thick mist clung to the ground, swirling in ghostly tendrils around the trees and rocks. The melody, which had been growing steadily louder, was now unmistakably clear. It came from somewhere deep within the valley, carried by the wind and reverberating through the air with a power that made Nyah's heart race. With her breath caught in her chest, Nyah stepped forward, her feet sinking slightly into the soft earth as she entered the mist. The valley seemed to envelop her in its stillness, and the world beyond it faded away completely. She had crossed into a realm apart, a place where time had no hold, and the only sound was the haunting song that had led her here. As she ventured further into the valley, Nyah felt a growing sense of awe. The landscape before her was unlike anything she had ever seen. Ancient ruins stood half-buried in the mist, their stone surfaces weathered by centuries of neglect. Statues of gods and kings, their features worn away by time, lined the pathways. The air was heavy with the weight of history, as if this forgotten kingdom still held on to the memories of its people, even in their absence. The melody echoed through the valley, growing louder still, until it seemed to fill every corner of the space. It was not just music, it was something alive, something that had power beyond simple sound. Nyah felt it in her very soul, as if the song was calling out to her, urging her to uncover the secrets of this lost kingdom. In that moment, Nyah knew that she had arrived at the heart of the mystery. The journey had only just begun, and the answers she sought lay somewhere within this forgotten land, waiting for her to discover them. The haunting melody would lead her, but it was up to her to unlock the truth behind the lost kingdom, and perhaps change the course of her own fate forever. As Nyah ventured deeper into the mist-shrouded valley, the world around her seemed to pulse with an energy she had never felt before. The silence was profound, almost suffocating, yet there was an undeniable sense of presence, as if the very earth was alive with memories. The melody continued to guide her, growing louder and more intense with each step she took. Her heart pounded in her chest, and her breath quickened, as though the rhythm of the music was now entwined with the very rhythm of her being. At first, Nyah thought the ruins she encountered were nothing more than the remnants of a forgotten civilization, overgrown with ivy and moss. The grand structures, their walls covered in thick vines, seemed to rise from the earth itself, their once pristine stone now weathered and worn by centuries of neglect. The remnants of towering columns stood at odd angles, their beauty still apparent despite the ravages of time. Giant statues of gods, kings, and warriors loomed above her, frozen in place, their faces eroded by the passage of years. There was a certain stillness to everything except the whispers carried on the wind. Nyah couldn't quite make out the words, but the sound was unmistakable. The wind seemed to speak, carrying faint echoes of lives that had long passed. The voices were soft, distant, but full of emotion. There was laughter, sorrow, and a deep longing that reached across time. The melody she had followed was now entwined with these whispers, as though it was part of a larger story, a story that had been lost to history but was waiting to be uncovered. She stepped cautiously, her footsteps echoing through the empty streets of the city. As she moved deeper into the ruins, the air grew heavier, charged with an unseen force. It was as if the very ground beneath her feet held the weight of ancient secrets, waiting to be revealed. She paused before a grand stone archway, its intricate carvings depicting scenes of long-forgotten rituals and divine beings. The air felt charged, and the whispers seemed to grow louder, more insistent. It was then that Nyah saw her, a figure standing just beyond the archway, shrouded in a soft glow, as though she were part of the mist itself. At first, Nyah thought it might be a trick of the light or a mirage brought on by exhaustion. But as she drew closer, the figure became clearer, an ethereal woman, her features both familiar and strange. She wore ancient robes that shimmered like the night sky, adorned with symbols that seemed to glow faintly. Her eyes, though filled with wisdom, were sad, as though she had witnessed the rise and fall of countless generations. The woman's voice was soft but clear, and her words cut through the air like a gentle breeze. "You have come," she said, her voice carrying an ancient weight. "The song brought you here as it has brought many before you. But you are different. You are the one who will understand." Nyah felt a chill run down her spine, her heart racing as the figure stepped forward. She opened her mouth to speak, but the woman held up a hand, silencing her. "I am the guardian of this place," the woman continued. "This is the kingdom of the forgotten, the kingdom that never truly perished. It is hidden, trapped in a timeless spell. You have heard the melody because you are the one who is meant to uncover the truth." The truth? Nyah's mind raced, trying to comprehend the enormity of the revelation. A kingdom hidden from the world, trapped by magic, how was that even possible? But as the woman's words settled in her mind, Nyah began to understand. This wasn't a kingdom lost to war or destruction. It had never been destroyed at all. Instead, it had been hidden, sealed away by ancient magic. The people of the kingdom hadn't vanished. They were caught in a spell, unable to move forward in time. The woman's gaze softened as she looked at Nyah, her eyes filled with both sorrow and hope. "Long ago the kingdom was once powerful, prosperous beyond measure," she said. "But greed and betrayal led to the anger of the gods. They cursed the kingdom, trapping it in a perpetual state of time, neither alive nor dead. The people, once proud and strong, are now lost in a place between worlds, their voices silenced, their spirits trapped in an endless slumber." Nyah listened, transfixed by the tale. She felt the weight of the history, the tragedy that had befallen this place. The whispers in the wind grew louder, more urgent, as if they were calling out to her. The people, the spirits, were waiting for something. Waiting for someone to break the spell, to release them from the timeless prison that held them captive. "The melody," Nyah said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's calling me to free them, isn't it?" The woman nodded. "Yes," she said. "The song is the key. It has always been the key. You have been chosen to break the curse, to restore balance to the kingdom and its people. But be warned, the path will not be easy. To release them, you must face the darkness that lies at the heart of this place, the betrayal that led to the kingdom's fall. Only then can you restore what was lost." Nyah's heart pounded in her chest, but she felt an undeniable sense of purpose. This was her calling. The song had led her here, and she knew now that it was no coincidence. The kingdom, its people, and the melody were all part of something much greater, something she had been destined to uncover. The spirits, the whispers, the magic, they had all been waiting for her. With newfound resolve, Nyah stepped forward, ready to face the challenges ahead. She would uncover the truth of the lost kingdom, break the curse, and restore what had been lost to time. The melody, the lost kingdom, and the spirits, it was all connected. And she, Nyah, was the one who could unlock its secrets. The figure before her faded into the mist, her task complete. Nyah stood alone, the weight of the lost kingdom now resting upon her shoulders. The song continued to play, a haunting melody that would guide her through the trials ahead. Nyah's heart pounded as the mysterious figure's words echoed in her mind. The guardian had revealed that the haunting melody was not merely a random tune carried by the wind. It was a desperate call for help from the lost kingdom's people. In that ancient, abandoned city, where time had been held captive by a curse, the melody was the only hope to reach those trapped between worlds. The realization struck Nyah like a bolt of lightning. The voices of the forgotten were calling out to her, begging to be freed from a punishment that had sealed them away. The kingdom, once prosperous and vibrant, had been condemned for a sin long buried in the mists of time. In an act of divine retribution, the gods had sealed it away, trapping its inhabitants in an endless twilight where they could neither live nor die. It was a punishment for a forgotten transgression, a sin so great that the echoes of remorse still resonated in the wind, woven into the very fabric of the melody that had haunted her nights. As Nyah absorbed this truth, the weight of her destiny began to settle upon her. The curse was not a random act of misfortune but a deliberate sealing wrought by forces beyond mortal understanding. Only one who truly listened to the whispers of the spirit world, who could understand the language of music and its power to heal, could hope to break the spell. The responsibility was immense, but so was the call. The melody had chosen her, and now it demanded that she take up the challenge to restore balance and free the trapped souls. Before the lost kingdom could be liberated, Nyah would have to prove her worth through a series of trials designed to test her wisdom, courage, and empathy. These trials were not physical battles alone but inner journeys that would force her to confront her deepest fears and doubts. The first test came in the form of a riddle, inscribed on an ancient stone tablet half buried beneath tangled roots near the ruins. The riddle was a puzzle of symbols and cryptic verses that spoke of the natural world and the cyclical nature of life. Nyah spent hours contemplating the meaning of each line, letting the soft strains of the melody guide her thoughts. Slowly, the pieces of the riddle began to form a coherent picture, a lesson about the balance between creation and destruction, light and darkness. With a quiet smile, she whispered the answer, and for a moment, the stone pulsed with a gentle light, as if acknowledging her understanding. But the tests were far from over. The next challenge came unexpectedly one night as she traversed a narrow, crumbling bridge suspended over a deep chasm. A sudden gust of wind threatened to sweep her away, and Nyah found herself clinging to the ancient stones, heart racing in terror. The elements themselves seemed determined to push her back, to test her resolve. In that desperate moment, she closed her eyes and listened, not just to the howling wind, but to the underlying melody that had been her guide since the beginning. The music flowed through her, a steady, reassuring presence that quelled her fear. Drawing upon an inner reservoir of courage she hadn't known she possessed, she took a deep breath and stepped forward, trusting the melody and her own strength. As she crossed the bridge, the wind subsided, and a sense of calm replaced her earlier panic. This trial had taught her that true courage was not the absence of fear but the ability to move forward despite it. The final test was perhaps the most challenging of all, for it was one of the heart. Deep within a secluded grove in the ruins, Nyah encountered a group of spectral figures, apparitions of the Lost Kingdom's people. They appeared as faint, sorrowful silhouettes, their eyes filled with longing and regret. The voices of these souls reached out to her in a chorus of whispers, each one telling a fragment of a story marked by betrayal, remorse, and the pain of exile. Their presence stirred a torrent of emotions within Nyah. She felt their suffering as if it were her own. Tears welled in her eyes as she knelt before them, her heart aching with empathy. In that vulnerable moment, she opened herself completely to their sorrow and their hope, promising silently that she would do everything in her power to break the curse that had imprisoned them. As Nyah embraced the spectral figures with compassion, the melody around her shifted, growing richer and more harmonious. It was as if the act of sharing their pain and longing, of truly listening to their silent pleas, unlocked a deeper layer of the melody's power. In that instant, she understood that music was more than sound, it was a language of the soul, a conduit between the living and the lost, a means of healing wounds that words could not reach. The spirits, in turn, seemed to smile through their ghostly forms, and the oppressive weight of the curse lifted ever so slightly, as if acknowledging her empathy and the sincerity of her resolve. With each trial overcome, Nyah's understanding of the true power of music deepened. She realized that the melody was not just a call for help but a bridge linking the mortal world to the spiritual realm. It carried with it the energy of countless generations, the grief and hope of a people who had been silenced by a cruel curse. The music held the key to restoring balance, to reuniting the lost souls with the world they had been wrenched from. And as she stood in the heart of the ruined kingdom, surrounded by the lingering echoes of its past, Nyah knew that her role was more significant than she had ever imagined. The curse that had sealed the kingdom was a result of a forgotten sin, a transgression that had led the gods to enact a punishment severe enough to suspend time itself. Only by truly listening, by embracing the lessons of wisdom, courage, and empathy, could the spell be broken. In overcoming the trials, Nyah had not only proven her worth but had also tapped into an ancient power. She felt that her connection to the melody and the spirit world had been irrevocably strengthened. The music now resonated within her, a constant reminder of the promise she had made to those lost souls. Her heart swelled with determination as she vowed to use this newfound power to restore the lost kingdom and bring healing to a people long forgotten. The trials had changed her, transforming a curious girl into a beacon of hope, capable of bridging the divide between the seen and unseen, the past and the present. With the melody as her guide, Nyah set forth on the path to break the curse, aware that her journey was only beginning, and that the true test of her role was yet to come. Nyah stood in the heart of the ruined kingdom, the ancient melody echoing softly in the cool night air. With trembling hands she cradled the artifact close to her chest, feeling the power of the lost kingdom flow through her veins. In that moment she knew what she had to do. Summoning all the courage she had gained from the trials, Nyah closed her eyes and began to play the haunting melody once more. This time, however, she did not simply recite the tune as she had before. Instead, she allowed her heart to guide every note, weaving her emotions, her sorrow, her hope, and her love into the music. Her voice merged with the soft hum of the ancient wind, transforming the melody into a living, breathing song that vibrated with the force of her spirit. As the notes cascaded into the night, the once still air around her began to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. The melody, now enriched by the essence of her very being, carried an energy that rippled outward, touching every corner of the abandoned city. Slowly, the grand statues that had stood frozen in time began to tremble. Their stone faces, worn and weary from centuries of silence, seemed to soften as cracks of light appeared along their surfaces. With each passing moment, the statues shifted, and before Nyah's astonished eyes, stone transformed into flesh. Figures emerged from the marble, their forms ethereal yet unmistakably human, as if the spirits of the lost people were being reborn. The skies above, once shrouded in a perpetual haze of mist and sorrow, began to clear. Stars pierced through the gloom, their light twinkling with renewed hope. A gentle breeze swept through the city, carrying with it the fragrance of rain and the promise of renewal. The very land underfoot seemed to exhale, as though it had been holding its breath for countless years. The dry, cracked earth softened, and delicate green shoots began to push up through the soil, reclaiming the barren spaces with fresh life. Nyah's melody grew in strength and clarity as the transformation unfolded around her. The sound, once a lone, haunting tune, now became a chorus, a symphony of voices joined together in celebration. The newly awakened people, once silenced by the curse, began to sing along with her. Their voices, soft and tentative at first, soon rose in unison, forming a harmonious blend that resonated with the very soul of the kingdom. It was as if the song had become a bridge between the past and the present, a conduit through which the spirits of old could return to their rightful place in the world. In the midst of this miraculous rebirth, a regal figure appeared. Emerging from the shadows of an ancient palace, where ivy and time had entwined the stone walls, stood the ruler of the lost kingdom. His presence was commanding yet gentle, his eyes reflecting the depth of centuries spent in silent longing. He regarded Nyah with a mixture of gratitude and awe. The ruler's voice, when he finally spoke, was calm and resonant, carrying the weight of lost history and the promise of redemption. "Nyah," he intoned, "your song has broken the chains that bound us. Through your bravery and the purity of your heart, you have restored the life that was stolen from us." As the ruler's words hung in the air, the assembled people of the lost kingdom gathered around Nyah. They moved with a grace that belied the years they had been trapped, their faces bright with wonder and relief. The spirits of the past, long confined to a timeless slumber, now rejoiced in the freedom that had been bestowed upon them. Their laughter, soft and melodious, mingled with the music, creating a symphony that celebrated the victory of hope over despair. The ruler stepped forward, his eyes never leaving Nyah. With great ceremony he presented her with a final gift, a beautifully crafted amulet adorned with symbols of the ancient gods and the phases of the moon. The amulet glowed softly with a radiant light, as if it held within it the very essence of the restored kingdom. "This is the seal of renewal," he said, his voice filled with solemn promise. "It is a token of our gratitude and a symbol of the bond now forged between our world and yours. May it serve as a reminder that true strength lies in the harmony of the heart and the courage to follow one's calling." Nyah accepted the amulet with tears glistening in her eyes, feeling the immense significance of the moment. In that final act of bravery she had not only broken the curse that had held the kingdom captive for so long, but she had also rekindled the hope of a people who had once believed they were forever lost. The melody that had called her had now become a force for transformation, healing the land, renewing its people, and restoring the ancient bond between the mortal world and the realm of the spirits. As the night gave way to the gentle light of dawn, the lost kingdom stood reborn, a living, breathing testament to the power of music, courage, and compassion. Nyah, with the seal of renewal around her neck and the echoes of her song in her heart, knew that her journey had only just begun. She had fulfilled one part of her destiny, but many challenges and wonders still awaited her. And as she looked upon the smiling faces of the people she had helped free, she understood that the true magic of the melody lay not in its haunting beauty alone, but in the way it connected souls, transcended time, and brought life to even the most forgotten of kingdoms. Nyah returned to her village under a sky streaked with the soft light of dawn, her heart and mind forever transformed by the journey she had undertaken. As she walked the familiar path back home, the weight of her experiences in the lost kingdom lingered in every step. The melody that had once been a haunting whisper in the night now resounded within her, a constant reminder of the magic and mystery she had encountered. The village, which had always been a quiet haven beneath vast plains and ancient forests, now appeared to her in a new light, a place that held within its soil the seeds of forgotten legends and untold histories. When Nyah finally reached the outskirts of the village, she was met by curious faces peeking from doorways and wide eyes that followed her every move. The villagers, once wary and fearful of the strange melody, now sensed a change in the wind. They could see in Nyah's eyes a spark of determination and an aura of gentle wisdom that they had not noticed before. Her clothes, though the same as always, seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow, as if the magic of the lost kingdom still clung to her like a protective mantle. In that moment, it became clear to everyone that Nyah was no longer the same young woman who had left. She had become something more, a living embodiment of the power of music, of courage, and of hope. Gathering in the central square, the villagers listened in hushed awe as Nyah began to share her incredible story. She recounted the strange and beautiful journey through the wilderness, the shifting trees and dancing shadows, and the omens that had guided her deeper into the unknown. With every word, she painted vivid images of the lost kingdom, a place where grand structures draped in vines and statues carved in golden hues had once stood proud and mighty. The villagers listened intently as she described the spectral figures, the voices of ancient souls, and the final, triumphant moment when her song had broken the curse that had held the kingdom captive in a timeless spell. Her narrative was not merely a tale of adventure, it was a testament to the enduring power of the melody that had called her forth. Nyah spoke of the pain and longing she had felt when she first heard the mysterious tune, of the inner conflict that had tormented her as the warnings of the elders clashed with the irresistible pull of the song. And now, as she stood before them, her voice steady and filled with conviction, she ensured that every word carried the weight of her experience. Through her story, the villagers began to see the lost kingdom not as a distant myth but as a living part of their heritage, a symbol of the profound connection between the human spirit and the forces of nature. As Nyah's tale unfolded, a remarkable transformation occurred among the people. The very melody that had once been a source of fear and suspicion was now embraced as a sacred song, a hymn that resonated with the pulse of the earth and the heartbeat of the ancestors. The villagers who had previously dismissed the haunting tune as the mere trick of the wind or the echo of lost memories, now gathered each evening to listen to the soft strains of the melody carried on the breeze. They began to honor it through ritual and song, incorporating its notes into their daily prayers and celebrations. It was as if the music had woven itself into the fabric of their lives, infusing even the most ordinary moments with a sense of wonder and reverence. In time, Nyah's story grew into legend, a tale passed down from one generation to the next. Children would sit wide-eyed at their elders' feet, listening to the recounting of the brave young woman who had followed a mysterious melody into a realm where time stood still. Her journey became a symbol of the limitless potential that lay hidden within every heart, a reminder that one must sometimes venture beyond the familiar to uncover the truths that have the power to heal and transform. The legend of Nyah inspired others to seek knowledge and understanding, to embrace the unknown, and to trust in the subtle yet undeniable magic of the natural world. The transformation was not only in the way the villagers viewed the melody or the lost kingdom, it was also in how they saw themselves. The once cautious and fearful community began to live with a newfound sense of openness and curiosity. They started to explore the ancient stories that had been whispered through generations, piecing together the fragments of their past and understanding that every legend, every myth, held a kernel of truth waiting to be discovered. In this way, Nyah's journey became a catalyst for a broader cultural revival, one that celebrated the mysteries of the cosmos and the wisdom of the old ways. As seasons turned and the years passed, the memory of the lost kingdom and the powerful song that had freed it continued to guide the villagers. Festivals were established to honor the melody, with songs and dances that echoed Nyah's tale and celebrated the harmony between human life and the natural world. Elders would speak of the time when the kingdom awoke from its long slumber, and the young would be encouraged to listen to the wind, to learn the language of the trees, and to remember that every sound carried a story. Nyah herself, though she grew older, remained a revered figure in the village, a living bridge between the past and the present, a reminder that the boundaries of time and space are not as fixed as they seem. Her legacy was etched not only in the hearts of those who heard her story but in the very soul of the village, which now thrived on the principles of balance, unity, and an unwavering connection to the mysteries of the world. In the soft glow of twilight, as the sacred melody floated gently through the air, the villagers would look up to the sky and feel a deep sense of gratitude for the gift of the song, a gift that had turned fear into hope and transformed a simple tale into an enduring legend. Thus, the legacy of Nyah and the Lost Kingdom was reborn, forever inspiring those who dared to dream beyond the confines of fear, reminding them that sometimes, the path to true wisdom begins with a single, mysterious melody carried on the wind. Years had passed since Nyah's triumphant return and the restoration of the lost kingdom, and the legend of her journey had woven itself into the fabric of the village's collective memory. The ancient melody that once echoed through the ruins and freed the silenced souls had become a sacred song, a beacon of hope, transformation, and the eternal bond between the people and the mystical forces of nature. The story of Nyah and the lost kingdom had been recounted over and over again, its verses growing richer with each telling, until it was no longer merely a tale of a single journey, but the beginning of an unending cycle of wonder. In the twilight of one crisp evening, as the village celebrated a harvest festival and the air vibrated with laughter and music, a new sound emerged on the breeze. It was faint at first, a delicate, almost imperceptible note that mingled with the rustling of leaves and the murmur of the river. Yet, as the night deepened, that sound grew into a clear, haunting melody, echoing with the same mysterious cadence that had once guided Nyah. The melody carried an enigmatic quality, stirring memories of ancient times and untold adventures. A young traveler, whose life had been spent wandering the boundaries of known lands, paused in his journey when the melody reached his ears. He was a curious soul with a restless heart, always in search of the next mystery to unravel. Drawn irresistibly by the captivating tune, he followed its siren call into the darkness, stepping away from the safety of familiar roads and into the wild unknown. His every footfall echoed the stories he had heard as a child, tales of a lost kingdom and a brave young woman who had once changed the destiny of an entire people. Now, with the melody as his guide, he wondered if those legends were true or if they were simply the echoes of an ancient myth. As he journeyed deeper into the wilderness, the traveler encountered landscapes that defied description. He passed through groves where the trees whispered secrets of old, crossed rivers that shimmered under a spectral moon, and scaled hills that overlooked valleys cloaked in mist. Each step he took seemed to lead him not just into a physical space, but into a realm where time itself was fluid. The melody grew ever stronger, resonating through the air with an ethereal quality that transcended mere sound. It was as if the very essence of the lost kingdom was calling out to him, inviting him to discover its hidden truths. In the heart of a dense forest, the traveler found himself before an ancient stone archway, half consumed by ivy and the relentless march of time. He paused, heart pounding as he recalled the legends of Nyah's journey. Could this be the threshold to the lost kingdom once again? The archway, though weathered and worn, radiated a sense of quiet majesty, as if it guarded secrets too powerful to be forgotten. With a deep breath and a sense of reverence, he stepped through the arch, leaving behind the familiar and venturing into a world of possibility. Inside, the landscape shifted dramatically. The ruins of a once great city unfolded before him. Grand structures draped in moss and vines, majestic columns standing as silent witnesses to the passage of centuries, and broken statues that hinted at the glory of a bygone era. The melody, now unmistakably clear, echoed through the deserted streets and overgrown courtyards, infusing the air with an energy that felt both sorrowful and hopeful. It was the sound of a kingdom that had been lost, yet perhaps not entirely forgotten. As the traveler explored the ruins, he began to notice subtle signs that life had once again stirred in this enchanted place. Faint traces of footprints on ancient cobblestones, a soft glow emanating from a concealed courtyard, and the gentle murmur of water where a once splendid fountain had stood. All these signs hinted that the lost kingdom might not have vanished completely but existed in a state of perpetual waiting, a place suspended between memory and reality, ready to be awakened by the right call. The traveler's mind swirled with questions. Had the kingdom disappeared once more, or was this the beginning of a new adventure? The answers were elusive, hidden in the interplay of light and shadow, in the dance of the melody with the wind. He recalled Nyah's legend, the idea that the melody was a call for help, a sacred song meant to guide those willing to listen beyond fear and superstition. And now, in this timeless place, he felt that call resonating within him. He sat down amid the ruins, closing his eyes to listen more deeply. The melody seemed to speak to him not in words but in a language older than time, a language of emotions, visions, and memories. In that moment he felt an overwhelming sense of continuity, a connection that spanned generations. The cycle of mystery, of loss and rediscovery, was as much a part of the world as the rising sun and the endless sky. As the night wore on, the traveler resolved to follow the melody further, determined to uncover its secrets and perhaps add his own story to the legend. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with potential perils and wonders, but he understood that such adventures were the essence of life. In every note of the haunting melody, he heard the promise of renewal and the enduring spirit of those who had come before him. By dawn, as the first light crept over the horizon, the traveler rose with a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that the lost kingdom was not a relic of the past to be mourned, but a living, breathing enigma that awaited those brave enough to seek it out. The melody, having led him to this point, would continue to guide him, its soft strains a reminder that every ending is also a beginning, that the cycle of mystery is eternal. And so, as the traveler set off into the awakening land, the legend of Nyah and the lost kingdom remained alive, passed down from one generation to the next. The haunting melody continued to play on the wind, a new chapter in an ever-unfolding story, inviting all who dared to listen to embark on their own journey of discovery, wonder, and transformation.